India's strong message to Pakistan after the SCO meet. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar slams Pakistan after the SCO meet, calls his Pakistani counterpart a promoter and spokesperson of terror. He says, wake up and smell the coffee. Additional forces have been rushed to violence-hit Manipur. They are trying to bring the situation back to normal. Curfew continues to be there in 8 districts of Manipur. NDTV reports from Ground Zero. In tragic news, 5 soldiers have been killed in an army operation in Jammu and Kashmir. The soldiers were killed in an anti-terror operation in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri, and they were killed while the army operation was on against the terrorists behind the recent Poonch attack. And Sharad Pawar's big U-turn after the bombshell. He says he will stay on as the NCP president. This comes 3 days after he announced his resignation. But significantly, he says that a succession plan is inevitable. In good news, the WHO says that COVID is no longer a health emergency. The WHO declares the end to the COVID health emergency, and this comes 3 years after it had declared it to be a health emergency. And the stage is all set for King Charles' grand coronation in the UK. And interestingly, there's a lot of Indian interest. PM Rishi Sunak to walk in the procession with the royals. And today, Vice President Dhankar meets King Charles ahead of his grand coronation. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Vedant Agarwal. Our lead story tonight is the crucial meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that concluded in Goa. And what was particularly significant is that External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar slammed Pakistan, really pulling back no punches. He really hit out at his Pakistani counterpart. He said that he is a spokesperson and promoter of terrorism. Remember, today morning, S. Jaishankar had said that one of the most important mandates of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is to contain and control terrorism. So significantly, he said that terror and talks cannot go together. India really reiterating that stand. Today, of course, a hectic day because it was a multilateral meeting there as far as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is concerned. But the major takeaway was India's strong message to Pakistan, reiterating that it will not tolerate terrorism and Pakistan's bid to shelter terrorists.
India has ruled out any possibility of talks with Pakistan. As S. Jaishankar said, victims of terror can't sit down with perpetrators of terror. In an unusually strong stance, Jaishankar lashed out personally at Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, calling him a promoter, justifier and spokesperson for the terror industry that Pakistan has become.
You know, victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism. Victims of terrorism defend themselves, counter acts of terrorism, they call it out, they delegitimize it, and that is exactly what is happening. So to come here and preach these hypocritical words as though we are on the same boat, I mean, they are committing acts of terrorism.
Early on Friday, S. Jaishankar received his counterparts at the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting in Goa, with no handshakes but only a namaste. He also reserved a tutorial for Pakistan on terrorism at the SCO platform.
As a foreign minister of an SCO member state, Mr. Bhutto Zardari was treated accordingly. As a promoter, justifier, and I'm sorry to say spokesperson of a terrorism industry, which is the mainstay of Pakistan, his positions were called out and they were countered.
The minister also specifying that much of his one-on-one conversation with his Chinese counterpart, Qin Gang, was around the border issue and disagreed with China's projection of the border being generally stable. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari may not have travelled to India with any high expectations on the bilateral front, but perhaps he did not even expect this sharp, strong response coming in from External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who called him a spokesperson for terror and very clearly underlined that India and Pakistan's situation vis-a-vis terror can never be equated. India is a victim of terror, Pakistan is a perpetrator of terror, and the two cannot sit down for talks. With camera person Rajendra Dayalkar, this is Maha Siddiqui in Goa for NDTV.
So India's strong message there to Pakistan. Now, in tragic news, 5 soldiers have died and another is injured in an encounter with terrorists in the Rajouri district of Jammu and Kashmir. A defense spokesperson said that the army had launched an operation to flush out terrorists who were responsible for a recent attack on the army in which 5 soldiers were killed. Remember, it was that extremely tragic incident happened on the 20th of April that happened in Poonch. And the spokesperson also said that during the operation, terrorists triggered explosives in retaliation. 2 soldiers died on the spot, 4 others were injured and they were rushed to the hospital immediately, and in total 5 soldiers of the Indian Army have died. An extremely tragic news there, and what is even more concerning is that 10 soldiers of the Indian Army died in just 15 days. Moving now to all the political drama in Maharashtra, and today Sharad Pawar, after dropping that bombshell on his party, took back his resignation. He said that he will continue to be the president of the NCP. However, he made several important points in that crucial press briefing today. He said that succession is inevitable and that he will work towards a succession plan and passing on his political legacy to the next generation. Of course, the big question was, why was Ajit Pawar not present in that press briefing? Now, Sharad Pawar obviously clarified, and he said that all leaders don't have to be present. But now the big question remains, what is going to be the succession plan? Is Ajit Pawar going to be the Maharashtra CM face, as it was being reported? What it means as far as Maharashtra's politics and national politics is concerned? Here's a report.
The mood at YB Chavan Centre giving away what Sharad Pawar had decided. Celebrations as he walked in, and as publicly demanded by much of the rank and file, he said he would stay on as NCP president.
But even as Sharad Pawar announced that he is going to stay on, Ajit Pawar was missing from the press conference, leading to speculation about his absence. However, Sharad Pawar clarified that it is not necessary that everyone should be present at the press conference, and he even said that it was only Ajit Pawar who had an idea about his decision to step down from the post of NCP president, and that's why he supported his decision.
किसी को जाना हो, कौन सी भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी हो, तो इसी का तो कोई रुकता नहीं. इसके लिए लीडरशिप से रुकने को, खुद को साफ करने की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ती. ऐसी स्थिति हो तो लीडरशिप में फोर्स फंड पर रहकर इसमें तंदुरुस्ती कैसे आ सकती है, इसे ध्यान देना चाहिए. ये तो इतना मुझे समझता है, वो ऐसी बात हमारे संगठन में नहीं.
But it is a unanimous decision. How can you talk about Ajit Pawar? How can you?
Because there were reports.
Your reports are not important. What happened in the committee room is important.
Hours earlier, top leaders of the committee appointed by Pawar himself to find a way forward had passed a resolution asking him to stay on.
हम लोगों ने विकल्प के बारे में बहुत विचार किया. विचार विमर्श के बाद हम इस फैसले पर आए हैं कि महाराष्ट्र के हो या देश के जो राष्ट्रवादी कांग्रेस के नेता और कार्यकर्ता, ये सब लोग जो है कहते हैं कि पवार साहब ही अध्यक्ष रहने चाहिए। इसलिए कोशिश करने के बाद भी कोई पर्याय हमारे सामने नहीं है।
After Pawar's surprise announcement on Tuesday to quit as the party chief, several leaders had openly backed Supriya Sule, his daughter, to take over. Pawar told reporters Supriya Sule did not agree to become NCP working president.
You have seen across the India, people from other party, presidents from other parties are requesting him not to give the resignation and to take the resignation back. And I guess he will consider the request of all the people from India, opposition parties and Karyakarta, and we are hopeful that he'll take a good decision.
While Sharad Pawar's decision to stay on as national president is driven by political pragmatism, questions about Ajit Pawar's impending rebellion have dominated political discussions in Maharashtra. And even the master strategist and seasoned politician, Sharad Pawar himself, hasn't been able to put out the fire these discussions have started in political circles. With Sohit Mishra and Ankit Tyagi, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Now, the entire focus was on Ajit Pawar's absence, but he tweeted to clarify that he welcomes the decision of Sharad Pawar continuing as a national president of the NCP. And he also said that given his age and health, they should all take more responsibility in the future. And of course, all this comes as Sharad Pawar says that a succession plan is extremely necessary as far as the NCP is concerned. And now a big focus on NDTV, the situation in Manipur. The centre has rushed additional forces to violence-hit Manipur, of course, particularly as far as the vulnerable areas are concerned. The army is trying to bring the situation under control. In fact, the situation has been stabilized as far as certain districts in Manipur are concerned. But the fact is that nearly 10,000 people have been displaced. Their houses have been burnt, torched, and vandalized. And of course, the big question now is whether the incessant efforts of the forces will help bring the situation back to normal. Our colleague Ratnadeep Chaudhary travelled to Manipur to get a sense of what is actually the situation on the ground, and he sent us this report. Take a look.
60-year-old Kim Gangte, a former member of parliament, is among hundreds of people stranded and looking to move to safety from the outskirts of Imphal, Manipur's capital. She left her home fearing violence.
Because this is not the Manipur I dreamt of. Today it has become like Ukraine. But in Ukraine the difference is one country is fighting against another. But here sisters and brothers of the same family, so much hatred, so much animosity.
These are unprecedented scenes in Manipur. This is on the outskirts of state capital Imphal. You can see people here. They have left their houses and they are trying to move to safer places. Security forces guarding them. This has been the scene for the past 2 days across different parts, different pockets in the state ever since there have been unrest.
At Kangbai in Bishnupur district adjoining Churachandpur districts, which has faced massive unrest, fleeing people have been sheltered in relief camps. They narrate harrowing tales.
इसी माफिक से हम लोग बहुत डर गया था ना, उसी टाइम से हम लोग भागते चला गया, पता नहीं क्या क्या हो रहा है। जो घर में आग लगाता है, दुकान तोड़ता है, लूटता है, पैसा, सोना, सब कुछ लूट के उन लोग लेके गया है सर।
Unexpectedly, it leads to violence. So it is happening suddenly. So we lock our doors, everything, and we run away.
Even today, sporadic violence has been reported, but the scale has come down, according to police sources. The centre has rushed more forces, and the army and Assam Rifles continue with their flag marches and area domination.
Wherever these were hotspots, they've all been tackled adequately, and the situation is, as you have seen yourself, that it is completely under control. Yes, there are certain hits and bits which are happening in small little places, but they are also being tackled now as more columns are pouring into Imphal Valley.
The focus for both centre and state is to bring normalcy, protect lives and property. The government is yet to give the number of dead or injured.
In Imphal and other parts of Manipur, in several roads you would find this kind of vehicles which have been torched, completely charred. In fact, you can see smoke still coming out of this vehicle which was torched a couple of hours back. The smell of fuel completely there, the smoke coming out. So there has been lot of vandalism, lot of loss of properties of people that has taken place in the last 2 days.
With BM Sunzu and Ratnadeep Chaudhary in Imphal, Usama Shah for NDTV.
Unprecedented scenes there in Manipur. We will, of course, keep a very close watch as far as that story is concerned. Time for a short break now, but on the other side, we'll get you all the preparations that are being made as far as King Charles' grand coronation is concerned. The stage is set. What are the preparations? Stay with us to find out more. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, the Supreme Court today rejected the bail plea of the jailed CMD, the ex-CMD of the Amrapali Group. Remember, the Amrapali Group has been accused of cheating as many as 50,000 home buyers. And now the top court came down heavily as far as the Amrapali Group is concerned, saying that they deserve no sympathy after cheating as many as 50,000 home buyers. But we take a look at what is the situation of these home buyers. Many of them still in the lurch. They have no light at the end of the tunnel because they are constantly paying interests of their home loans and they've still not gotten the possession of their houses. Take a look at this report.
वो इसी होप पे चली गई कि आज मिलेगा घर, कल मिलेगा घर।
32-year-old Rupali Jain was a teenager when her mother bought a flat in this multi-storied residential complex, originally owned by the jailed builders of the Amrapali Group. Almost 15 years later, Rupali, one of the nearly 50,000 home buyers cheated by the Amrapali builders, is still without a home of her own.
हर घर का एक कॉमन इंसान ड्रीम करता है, उनका भी ऐसे ही।
ये बहुत ही ऑब्वियसली हर किसी के लिए घर एक इमोशनल चीज़ होती है, तो आपकी मदद नहीं देख पाई कभी क्योंकि पोजेशन ही नहीं मिला।
बिल्कुल नहीं, वो इसी होप पे चली गई कि आज मिलेगा घर, कल मिलेगा घर। हमेशा रेंट हाउस पे ही रहना पड़ा क्योंकि एक तरह से बिट्रेयल था ये बिल्डर्स का। इनफैक्ट वहाँ पे प्रॉपर कंस्ट्रक्शन भी नहीं शुरू हुआ है कि हाँ ये हो बने कि अगले 1-2 साल पे घर मिल जाएगा।
The Supreme Court today came down heavily on the ex-chief of the real estate giant while listening to his bail plea. The court said he deserves no sympathy after cheating thousands of home buyers. The buyers were cheated by being sold flats which were not even part of the master plan and by double booking the same flat for multiple customers.
इस उम्मीद के साथ कि हमें बहुत जल्द ही घर मिलेगा, हम अपने किराए से घर अपने असियाने में होंगे। आप खुद समझ सकते हैं सर, 2010 से हम लोग लगातार EMI भी भर रहे हैं, बैंक का लोन भी भर रहे हैं, उसके बाद हमारा पास रेंट भी दे रहे हैं और लगातार उसके बाद हमारा संस्था निफवा का हम सदस्य भी हैं, उसके निफवा ने बहुत बड़ी लड़ाई लड़ी, सुप्रीम कोर्ट में हम लोगों ने केस जीता। सुप्रीम कोर्ट के बाद भी हमें NBCC ने जो लिया है प्रोजेक्ट, उसके बाद डेट पर डेट ही मिल रहा है। आज से 1 साल पहले हमारा V1 टावर में पोजीशन था, उसके बाद 6 महीना बढ़ा दिया जाता है, फिर 6 महीना बढ़ा दिया जाता है।
The Amrapali case has also exposed the alleged nexus between builders and municipal authorities. The Supreme Court had said that the authorities knew there were defaults and dues and continued to allot more land to the Amrapali Group, overlooking the interest of home buyers.
I personally feel our laws need more amendments. Also, there should be a fast-track trial all such disputes between builder and buyer should be disposed of on a fast-track basis.
The sense that we get from home buyers here is that the mess created by the earlier management of the Amrapali Group is extremely complicated. While the court is trying to get these flats constructed, the fact is that thousands of home buyers have lost their hard-earned money, and for them, there is still no light at the end of this tunnel. In New Delhi with camera person Sudesh Ram, Vedant for NDTV. In other news now, the World Health Organization has announced that COVID-19 is no longer a global health emergency. Now, this is a symbolic end to the devastating coronavirus pandemic that triggered once unthinkable lockdowns, upended economies and killed millions of people worldwide. The announcement made more than 3 years after WHO declared that the coronavirus is an international crisis, a public health emergency. So, of course, some good news there. This as not just in India but globally, cases have been falling. But, of course, a word of caution there as well, as the WHO said that it has still not ended. While, of course, it is no longer a public health emergency, we must remain cautious. And now the stage is all set for King Charles' grand coronation. There are preparations underway, but there's a lot of Indian interest, of course, because the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, will be following all the traditions as far as the coronation is concerned. He will be reading out from the biblical book. He will also be walking in that procession, holding the British flag with his wife. Of course, a big question also, will Prince Harry attend? What will his role be? But, of course, there's also skepticism because many people think that these are redundant traditions, especially the youngsters there, British Indians and of course young Britishers. They think that there are more important things that the monarchy must focus on. Take a look at this report.
The eyes of the world are on London as King Charles III is expected to be crowned. As final preparations are made, the usual questions are being asked about whether it will be money well spent. It cost Britain £1.57 million to stage the Queen's coronation back in 1953, but ever-increasing security threats and a series of planned domestic protests have sent costs for this event soaring way above 1,000 crore rupees.
From the religious symbolism of his anointment to the moment when the crown is placed on his head, here are the highlights to look out for during the coronation of King Charles. For the coronation, Charles and his wife Camilla will break tradition and travel from Buckingham Palace to London's Westminster Abbey in the modern Diamond Jubilee State Coach. They'll return from the Abbey in the coronation procession in the 260-year-old coach, which has been used at every coronation since King William IV's in 1831. During the service, Charles will be anointed with holy chrism oil made using olives from the Mount of Olives and consecrated in Jerusalem.
The key moment of the ceremony will be when Charles, sitting on a coronation chair dating back more than 700 years, is given regalia from bejeweled orbs to swords and a ring. The culmination sees the 360-year-old St. Edward's crown, weighing in at 2.2 kgs, placed onto Charles' head. Having returned to Buckingham Palace, the big finale is the appearance by the senior Windsors on the balcony at Buckingham Palace. There will be a flypast by military aircraft and historic planes from World War II.
So grand preparations there being made for King Charles' coronation. That's all the news on this bulletin. Good night and goodbye.